We in the building. We about to get it in. We got a live show. We got a lot to get into tonight. We got the ladies in the building. We about to do the Diva Diaries tonight. We got my main man on the live line. You ain't heard from him in a while. I'm going to introduce him here momentarily. But we got a lot to get into tonight. We're going to talk about the Ku Klux Klan. We're going to talk about a movie that is causing an uproar. We getting into a sister who got off the ambulance because the paramedics was acting a damn fool. And we want to know about the toe sucker in Walmart. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. is about to get it in, y'all. That's why she ain't gonna like to hear me say finna, but we finna get it in up in this joint. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. is right now.
It's about that time. It's about that time to get.
Button your lip, open your ears, strap on your thinking cap. Socially conscious talk that's entertaining with a dash of humor and the top sports stories of the week. It's time for Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J.
Sellers has Jordan. Jordan with 2 seconds to go. Puts it up and scores at the buzzer. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago. Manning lobs it. Burris alone. Touchdown, New York.
Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. He hits one deep to right center. That ball is out of here. The Yankees win the pennant.
If they lying,
Then they must be
half stepping. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. is live, y'all. Hey, look, man, I ain't had that kind of love in a very long time, and I appreciate it. Be down with us tonight at 804-402-2893 to be down with the flagship show, heard right here, live from the den of Legacy Internet Radio. I got the whole crew telling us that you must be half stepping, and I'm digging that. I got somebody that's on the live line. I'm introduce him here momentarily. I kind of teased it a little bit. I didn't tell the crew what we was doing, so everybody all just kind of looked at me and was like, we gonna all jump in on the intro. So that's cool. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. We got a lot to get into tonight, and we getting the hell out of here at 9:30 tonight. We can't go over. We ain't gonna go over because we just ain't gonna go over. So I just want to make sure that every single person is heard as part of the crew, as well as out there in social media. So if you want to be down, call us at 804-402-2893 to be down with the flagship show of Legacy Internet Radio. So what I want to do is go around the room. I'm gonna introduce the live line person here momentarily. I'm gonna get the people in the crew here first. And joining us for the first time this month, hasn't been with us in a little while, but she definitely makes her presence known on Legacy Internet Radio because we know she been hanging out with Mr. LP on Enliven Radio throughout the month, but it's her first time on Ain't No Half Stepping with Marcus J.
Yes.
In a while, I got my sister Blessed Brandy up in the building. What's up, girl?
Not a thing, not a thing. Glad to be here. I kind of missed Monday nights.
Monday nights.
Tuesday nights have been enlivening.
Enliven. That's right. Enliven.
Did you miss us?
Yes, I did. I did.
So everything cool with you?
Everything is crisp. Everything's nice.
Wonderful. I'm glad to have you. Good to see you looking all good and stuff, girl.
I try. Stop.
That's what it is. Of course, joining me as she does every single fourth Monday.
You
right
better
here,
know it.
Live from the den of Legacy Internet
diva.
Radio. she can't wait to get on this mic. My goodness. They got the dating pool diva up in this joint. What's up, girl?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm glad you here. I'm glad you excited and whatnot. I ain't seen you smile like that.
I'm
in a
trying to
long
get pepped
time.
up. I just woke up, so I'm trying to wake myself up.
So you
tonight.
taking naps in the middle of the day?
It's been rough.
You know,
It's
that's a
been rough.
Nana thing, right?
Huh?
That's a Nana thing. That's like an old lady
Well,
thing.
I guess I'm getting to the Nana stage.
Yeah, my
I guess.
goodness.
15-minute breaks at my desk. My head is down.
Oh my
Yep.
goodness.
Yep,
See,
that's how it be sometimes.
You better hold on. You better hold on. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J is proud to introduce my brother on the live line. We haven't had him join us for a extended segment in a while. He's lately been doing quick hits on Clutch the Sports Show for You, where he's been doing the NBA segments with Big Rube and Dre. But we've got this brother on the live line with us for 2 segments tonight, the beginning and the end of the show. I got my brother, my partner, my oldest friend in the whole world. I got K-Dub on the line. What's up, bro?
What's going on, families? How y'all doing out there?
We doing fabulous. I'm doing fabulous. I can't speak for the
good.
ladies, but the
Wonderful.
ladies look like they doing
Thanks for
fabulous
asking.
as well. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm blessed. I'm here. I'm living, so I'm good.
I'm blessed.
Brandy says she blessed, man. You gonna be blessed too? We got enough room for 2 people to be blessed? Yeah, we do. I guess we do. Ain't no hashtag on Marcus. All right, dog. Listen, you and I, we kind of have a lot of conversations throughout the days and weeks about stuff that's going on. My guess is you have taken a look at the Facebook wall and you have a pretty decent idea of what my mentality is. But I'm going to just go ahead and jump right off. We got a What the Hell segment that we're going to start off with. And I normally kind of get into the serious what the hell stuff later on in the show, but I'm going to jump right into it tonight because we ain't got time to be playing. If you want to be down with us, call us up at 804-402-2893 to be down with the flagship show of LegacyInternetRadio.com. Before we get into it, one thing that I do need to note is obviously when I went through the introductions, you noticed that there was one person whose name you did not hear me introduce, and that is my sister, my co-host, S.Y. Butler, who we don't have tonight, but she is out there and she is listening, and so she is checking in. And she is enjoying the show from a remote location. She couldn't be in the building with us tonight. But everybody, show some love to S.Y. Butler.
We miss you. Why aren't you here? We're so sad.
That's why.
Yeah, man.
That's why.
And, of course, joining us out there in social media land, our number 1 fan of Legacy Internet Radio, ain't no hashtag on Marcus, Jay, is my sister, Joy. What's up, girl? Joy is listening to us tonight. We appreciate it every single night on Ain't No Hashtag with Marcus J. She's always with us, and the first to check in tonight is no different. All right, Dub, once you in on this one first, I'm getting this article from Think Progress, and it basically starts off by saying that black preschoolers face an epidemic of suspensions. Black preschoolers are suspended in American schools, and a disproportionate number of those students receiving the punitive treatment are black, according to a new report out Friday from the Department of Education. I'm going to read some of this article to set it up, and then I want to get a roundtable discussion. I want Dub in on this one first, and then ladies jump in. It says, while black children make up 18% of the kids enrolled in preschool programs, they constitute 48% of the students suspended more than once. Across all grades, black students suffer suspensions or expulsions at 3 times the rate of their white counterparts. Black girls in particular suffer disproportionate rates of suspension. They receive higher rates of suspension than, quote, girls of any race or ethnicity and most boys. The same holds true for arrests in school. Black students are just 16% of total students in schools, but make up 27% of the students who are referred to law enforcement and 31% of those who receive school-related arrests. Friday's new data is consistent with previous findings on disproportionate suspensions, expulsions, and arrests of black students. In 2013, a study from the University of California, Los Angeles Civil Rights Project found that American students have, on average, 11% chance of suspension, but the black students have a 24% chance of the same punishment. 2010 Education Department also found that black and Hispanic students account for 70% of school-related arrests. There's more here. We can get into our own discussion, but I want to just kind of set it up, and I want to have a round table. Dub, you up first. What you got, bro?
Well, excuse me. Those statistics, I mean, it's very sad. It's very sad when in 2014 we still have those types of disproportionate numbers when it comes to youth and, some type of reprimand, whether it be suspension, expulsion, or even, all the way up to jail. This is gonna sound kind of crazy, but I'm not that surprised, and here's why I say this. There's a number of statistics that show different parts or different communities throughout the nation that disproportionately is very detrimental to black people. I give you an example. And with my example, please bear with me. I think the state is North Dakota. If it isn't North Dakota, it's South Dakota. There's a statistic out that black and brown people in the state of North or South Dakota make up 12% of the total population, but they make up, I want to say, 80+% of the incarcerated individuals. So, and while you were reading that article, that's the first thing that I thought about. There are a number of different, statistics out there that show that black people are more times than not reprimanded for the same thing that, let's say, white people or non-black people are, and disproportionately we're the ones that are given the heavy hammer. You look at a number of the drug laws, you look at a number of, excuse me, you look at a number of arrests to actual imprisonment. You look at a number of statistics where they show certain individuals being pulled over, let's say, by the police, and on average, more people that may go to jail for whatever may be the situation, it's more on black and brown people. I know I made kind of a general statement, but it just kind of points to the fact that throughout this nation, that is, I won't say the norm, but it's prevalent. It's prevalent, and I think that it may speak to a mindset of the authority or individuals that hold authority, whether they are black, brown, white, or pink.
Brandy,
sometimes we talk about how black people sometimes we're our own enemies.
Let's get Brandy in on this one.
So I don't want to just spread it like that.
Let's get Brandy in on this one. Brandy, what you think?
Can I clarify real quick? This isn't Brandy Richardson. My nickname is Blessed, and that's why I corrected him earlier, just so he don't think I'm crazy. But anyway,
yes, we know.
My opinion of this, as if anybody hasn't seen a picture of me, I am lighter skinned. I have a nephew that I take with me to places, and all off the bat, when I go to certain places, I took him to the to the playground in Chick-fil-A one time in Chester. So off the bat, I'm already wary of what's going to happen in there. He's lighter than I am, but still, there were only white people in there. So eventually something popped off. A little girl hit him. And I'm like, okay, how should I approach this? What's going to happen? And I felt bad because I didn't stand up for him like I felt like I would have in any other situation, because we're in Chester, it's only white people. But other than that, I remember riding the bus, and I would get looked at more than any other student on the bus. I wasn't a bad student. I wasn't a bad kid. But if I did do something, somebody else just did it, I would get caught, and I would get in trouble for it before anyone else did.
So you were in school with a lot of Caucasian
yes,
students?
I lived in Prince George.
Caucasian? White folk.
White folks, Caucasian. I don't want to offend anyone.
I don't care
am from
about
Prince George, Virginia, which is country.
People. I don't like African American. I'd rather hear black, but don't nobody care how I feel.
That's right, pro-black.
It's not even about that. It's about, well, I can explain it another time, but
yes, it's just
white folk.
And we're not gonna play the whole African American thing on here, are we?
No, we ain't doing
no,
that.
We're not.
We're gonna say
Good,
white people,
good.
just like we're gonna say black people.
Right.
Puerto Ricans.
Being mindful that we are in Richmond. I am from a little bit further south where they still grow cotton and tip cows and whatnot. So on my bus, I would get in trouble more often.
Hey, yo, did she say tip cows?
I did say tip cows.
Such a cruel sport.
That's like real, like Southern stuff.
But you know what, man? I don't want to cut nobody off, but you know what's crazy is that, we on maybe a month-to-month basis, we talk about different things or what have you, but, I would want to hear, like, how can we change that? How can we change, the mindset of authority to understand that, look, man, all black and brown people are not bad people. Why do we have to be the ones that's given the heavier fine or the heavier jail sentence and things of that nature?
I got a theory on that.
I know it's a rhetorical question. I just want to throw that out there.
It's definitely rhetorical, but I got a theory on that. I want to get the diva in on this one before I get on the diva with you. You haven't said much on it. What you got?
Well, basically, I can identify with the article because I work in a school. I'm a counselor. I work with troubled youth. And so I've noticed a lot of times it is the black child that ends up with a worse reprimand, maybe more suspension days, or maybe the Caucasian white child doesn't get any days, and they were also involved in the fight or whatever it is that occurred. So I definitely noticed that this occurs in the school system all the years that I've been working as a counselor.
I'm going to answer your rhetorical question this way, Dub. If you remember in the neighborhood when we was growing up, and you and I grew up in the same neighborhood, it was always a kid who you could pick on, and when you picked on him, he allowed you to pick on him. He just took it and kept it moving. He may not necessarily showed you punk, but he didn't necessarily stand up for himself either. He allowed you to do it time after time after time. And the first time you did it, you did a little bit. And the next time you did it, you did a little bit more. And the next thing you know, you straight punking this kid. That's what's happening to us. We allowing ourselves to get punked up in here because we don't stand up when they putting nonsense on the radio. You get certain people that'll justify the nonsense they put on the radio by saying stupid things like, oh, we asked for them to put it on. We the ones that's calling up and saying we request them to put my ass on the table or whatever the corny song is. I don't know the songs,
Put
but
my ass on the table.
I never heard that one.
I couldn't
That'll
think of,
probably be next.
yeah, I couldn't think of that else. But seriously, like we got our own people that justify them treating us bad. You know what I mean? It's the same as when you turn on Roots and you see them in Africa and you see a black face out there with the white face catching the black man in the bush.
But
Diva.
can I say this, Marcus? Is that necessarily them taking up for the other man or saying that we need to wake up and get our act together and stop supporting put the ass on the table?
I think it's both. I really do. I think it's both because if you don't understand that you are being disrespected, that's a you problem, but your problem affects all of us. You know what I'm saying? Like if you don't have the presence of mind to know that the music that they're putting on the radio, this is how they're training you to be a certain kind of way, and you of course will exemplify that bad behavior, which in turn will have you doing the things that will allow you to get arrested or incarcerated or whatever it is. Next thing you know, you might get in for a minor offense, but now you've been disenfranchised because you can't vote. And if you can't vote, you can't be a part of the solution.
Let me be the Uncle Tom to say, I grew up listening to Snoop and just drinking gin and juice and smoking weed and all of that, and I've never been arrested in my life. So I can't say that necessarily. It's the weak-minded people that fall prey to that type of music, and so in order to protect those type of people, I do understand that point of view.
It's entertainment.
Well, I got you, and I would agree with you because I also grew up listening to that music, but I also had my father in my house who was able to show me the difference between, Snoop Dogg and Dr. Huxtable. You know what I mean? And I also know enough about the history of this country where the black man, or not just the black man, let me take a color out of it, how the man was chased out of the household in the 70s because of the way the welfare laws were written. You couldn't have no dude in the house because if you did, you couldn't get no welfare.
Right,
Well, don't forget the feminist movement.
And then there's a lot of reasons for it, but the truth of the matter is, and I agree with you. I'm gonna call you Brandy. I'll call you Blessed Brandy, but I'm gonna call you Brandy because you're the first Brandy. You're the original Brandy, and we love Brandy
The
on
real
the radio.
Brandy.
There's no not real. It's just we just happen to have two ladies
real
named Brandy.
Roxanne.
But when you hear me call you Brandy, because it's just easier. Because I'll forget Blessed,
It's
even though
okay.
you're clearly a blessed person. But but the thing of the matter is, I don't want to absolve our own people of our responsibility in our downfall and our plight. But at the same time, I need people to acknowledge that we have a machine working against us.
Most definitely.
And that leads me into the next story that I wanted to get into. Dub, I want you to jump on this one after the ladies because this story directly affects everybody here in the Richmond, Virginia area. So stand by for a second. You got a Ku Klux Klan leader right here in the Richmond, Virginia area who's disputing the label of hate and saying, quote, they are a Christian organization. This is the Ku Klux Klan. Now, I'm getting this from the Huffington Post. I wish I had my sister S.Y. here to say it all cool like the Huffington, like she always does, but I know she's listening, and she knew that that's where I would go. But you've got a lot of us, and I'm not affected personally, but I know people who were. I know white people who were, and I know black people who were personally. You've got the leader of the traditionalist American Knights of the Ku Klux Klan, who has sent his minions out to recruit people in the Richmond/Chesterfield County area by dropping flyers in mailboxes over the last couple of days. Quote, we don't hate people because of their race. I mean, we're a Christian organization. Frank Ancona, the group's imperial wizard, told Virginia's NBC 12 last week on Thursday. Continuing the quote, because of the acts of a few rogue Klansmen, all Klansmen are supposed to be murderers and wanting to lynch black people, and we're supposed to be terrorists. That's a complete falsehood. Brandy, I want you in on this one first. There's more. Obviously, there's always more, but we don't always have time to read the entire stories. I like to kind of get the highlights. Anconda's group has come under fire from the residents, obviously, of Chesterfield County for distributing those KKK recruitment flyers in people's yards since January. I've got a good friend of mine who's white who got one of those flyers, and I've got a friend of mine who is black whose family member got the flyers. So I know people on both sides of the color line who have gotten these flyers. What you think?
Well, I don't know anyone who personally that was affected by it, but I will say that I've always been a believer of not the Ku Klux Klan per se, but like the rebel flag being used as the sign for racism. It wasn't always that. It was the symbol for the South. A few rogue Klansmen took the flag and made it their own and made it a symbol for race. So every time for hatred. So every time someone saw the flag, they automatically thought about KKK hatred. And that's not necessarily the way that it started out. Now, on the other hand, this has been an issue that has been under the rug for a long time. They used to do marches in Colonial Heights in the, I think, late 80s. I think that's the latest one that I know about myself. And just within the last 3 weeks, if you drive down 95 going to Colonial Heights, you can't see it if you're driving south, but you can see it when you're coming north. They have cut out some trees, and they have raised a rebel flag right there beside. So like I said, me not thinking about the history of the flag, as soon as I saw it, I was like, what is
feeling
that?
some kind of way about it. Diva, jump in.
Well, I will be the rebel here to say that every time I see that flag, that's what it means to me. I don't care what they say about it doesn't represent hate. It's about our Southern pride and all of that. Come up with a new symbol, because that symbol has a long history of hate and lynching and murder and mayhem. Okay, so they need to come up with a different symbol if it's just going to represent.
They do have a different one.
Well, they need to use that one,
It's a
because
cross,
everybody links that Confederacy to racism. I don't care what they say about it, it doesn't represent that.
We getting a couple of hits here in the social media. We got a hit from our sister S.Y. She said, sad to say, but when we as black folks learn to fight for one another instead of fight one another, and each one teach one, nothing will change. I absolutely tend to agree with that. We lost K-Dub for a minute, but I think we got him back. Dub, I think we lost you, but you've been listening. You hear most of what's going on. We got the KKK that's recruiting folks here in the Richmond metropolitan area. Chesterfield County is just a suburb of Richmond, Virginia. For those folks that are listening to us in Phoenix and Atlanta and Indianapolis and Memphis and back in Jersey City, our hometown, me and Dub and I. Jump in here. I'll save my comments for the end of this particular segment. Jump in here, bro.
Well, just to let you know, for those that don't know, I live in Georgia. I live basically on the outskirts of Atlanta, Georgia. And just as of maybe about 2 weeks ago, there was a rally on the steps of the state capitol here in Atlanta for the KKK. And consistently, down here, we're bombarded with the rebel flag. And, I still feel some type of way in regards to that flag. But here's the thing. If we really want to make some noise and have a conversation or do something about it, instead of us going and, let's say, getting upset, I would say, or I would be down for the cause. Let's get the new Black Panther Party going. Let's start the Black Panther Party being in a lot of our urban areas, and let's see if those individuals will have the same rights, same respect, or the same dialogue that the other people are showing for their rebel flag and the KKK, their particular organizations. Let's do the same on our side. And again, people that want to be constitutional conservatives, for less of a better phrase or what have you, we have the right to do the same. So, let's start organizing ourselves in that type of manner. Maybe not necessarily as the Black Panther Party, maybe a offset of that, but let's do the same thing. Let's go out there. Let's start getting ourselves together the same way that the KKK, as well as the Sons of the Confederate and individuals that, pump up this Confederate flag as being history. Let's do the same as them.
Well, let me ask you this, Dub. You and I have had a lot of conversations over the years, and I think I have a pretty good grasp of your general thought process as you do mine. I said on the air a couple of weeks ago, and I caught some flack from people when I said this, and I don't really care that I caught flack. Sometimes my opinions just people don't like it, and that's cool. We could talk about it. I said that black people generally are afraid of white people. And when I said that, I was getting people that was inboxing me, and they was like, yo, what do you mean? I ain't scared of no white man, and all this kind of stuff. And they was talking tough with their fist in the air to another black man. But these are the same people who will whisper the word white man in front of a white man. And so I don't even know if there's a question there. It's more of a statement, but
I agree with you. If that's what you're looking for, I do agree with you. I agree with you, because I'm gonna be totally honest with you, and I didn't mean to cut you off or whatever like that.
I jumped in because I didn't know how I was gonna phrase the next line. So now I'm glad you jumped in.
And I'm gonna say this: yo, white people get funky and they could care less how we feel or what our particular angle may be. They'll get funky with you in public or whatever. But sometimes, majority of the times, we kind of hold back on displaying our displeasure, or we start to talk a certain way when we're around white people, or we don't want to do certain things because we don't want to look ghetto or look black or whatever like that. Whereas, and again, I'm down in y'all are in the South, but I think I'm a little bit more deeper.
Man, you more souther.
People get funky down here.
You more south than us. All right, let me throw another wrinkle in here. I want the diva on this one first. Israel. This story is coming out of Israel, and judging by Dub's reaction, he knows about it. Keeping with the KKK, you've got a group of Israeli high school boys dressed as members of the Ku Klux Klan and others in blackface who make up to stage a mock lynching for a class party for a Jewish holiday called Purim, Purim. Photographs of over a dozen teens in Harrow High School and Mevaraset Zion, a cushy suburb of West Jerusalem, first surfaced a few days after this holiday, which functionally serves as Israel's Halloween. In the photos, some of the students are dressed in white robes and armed with large wooden cross, while three others are in blackface makeup and afro-style wigs and kneeling as if their arms are shackled. The Israeli media outlet Mizballah screen grabbed the image from Facebook, which was then circulated on social media, creating a firestorm. A day later, Israel's Channel 2 News followed up, and the school's principal said she found nothing inappropriate about the youth dressing as white supremacists on the verge of racially motivated vigilante murder. Quote, the costume created an interesting and important discussion, Rena Eventov said. This act essentially created a platform for discussion. It is no different from a Nazi costume, she concluded. I want the diva on this one first. I always like to say incendiary things and then just drop it on you and say speak. Because see, I can speak One, because I read the story and I'm versed, I already got an opinion. But I like the shock value.
You like the shock?
Hell
when
yeah,
it works.
because I see your eyes get big like saucers right now. You know, Blessed over here shaking her head, whatnot. She rocking. You know how the sisters rock sometimes.
Like
she over here
she
rocking
in church or something, and
whatnot.
getting the Holy Spirit.
I know K-Dub
You
well
need
enough
some
to know that
support.
K-Dub knows the story, so he's been formulating his opinion, waiting to spit it out. And I'm gonna get you, Dub. Don't get it twisted.
Yes,
I'm
indeed.
gonna get you. Just hang tight. I want the diva on this one first. What you got?
I'm in shock, like you said, and I don't know what to say. I feel like they're Jewish people from Israel, right? And they went through the similar, not as bad as us, but a similar struggle. How dare them? You know, that was the first thought to my mind, like, how dare them make fun of what we went through when they always preach about the Holocaust for that short period of time, you know? So I was just in shock. Like, and if they wanted to incite some type of discussion, they could have done that without making a mockery of the Ku Klux Klan and how they, you know, mistreated black people. They could have came up with a different way to spark discussion.
What you got, Blast?
Well, I'm just going to clarify. Jewish Israelites didn't go through as much in the Holocaust because they weren't actually in that area, as far as I know. Now, the different things that they're going through right now is more religious things that they're having to fight their neighbors over their land, which that's a whole totally different topic. But Israel is close to Egypt, and Egypt is in Africa.
Right.
It amazes me how I work with people's information. So I see when people put down their identifiers, and it could be someone that is darker than me, but they will put down on their identifiers as white.
Right.
And I was trying to take up for them earlier to say the same thing that you did, that they've been through a similar situation than us. Maybe they were trying to start the conversation. Maybe they were. They were on. They were on our team. They understood what we went through, and they're trying to, but I didn't know all of the information. I didn't know it was a Halloween-ish type thing. And right now, yeah, it disgusts me because somebody is going to say somebody dressed as like a Nazi and you're Jewish. How does that make up for anything?
Doug,
That's crazy.
Dub, jump in right there, man. What you got?
A couple of angles. First of all, it speaks to something that I said a while back when we were talking about Trayvon Martin and a number of other things. It just goes to show that even globally, people have no respect, or they really don't care what black people think. Second of all, you know, how disrespectful is that? Man, that's just mad disrespectful. How about we do a costume and start throwing people up in the hot box? Would they like that? For I should say Jews or individuals from that part of the country, for them to be so sensitive when it comes to something that may be quote unquote anti-Semitic, for them to do the same thing in regards to you know, dressing up as Ku Klux Klan members and blackface or whatever like that, is disrespectful. But you know what, man? I will say this. It doesn't surprise me because just like in this country as well as other parts of the world, we, again, are the most disrespected group of people on the face of the earth. And that goes from the beginning of time. I won't say the beginning of time, but it went on long before we were here, and it's going to continue to go on when we're long gone.
It's like that, you know, in large part because we allow it to be. You know, it's funny.
Exactly. Exactly. Let's start whooping people's ass. I think people that have a second. If we were to, I'm sorry, Mark, I didn't mean to say that, but I was thinking,
no, I say
if we would start whooping people's asses and start doing things like that, individuals will start thinking twice before they start putting on black faces and putting on the KKK robe, so on and so forth. That's just my opinion.
Nah, I can dig it. I mean, the truth of the matter is, when you say we're the most disrespected people, we are. But largely, it's because we allow ourselves to be that way. If you remember when you were a child and somebody was picking on you, and I don't want to make us out to be picked on because we ain't no punks, at least not generally. Well, generally, yeah, we are punks. But as individuals, you know, we ain't no punk. But you remember that kid who got picked on. But eventually, if that kid had a man around, no disrespect to the single moms, but real talk, this dude had a man around, and that man was like, look, don't come home getting your ass beat no more. He stood up and he knocked the dude out And once he knocked the dude out, he ain't get picked on no more. I had that. I had an older brother and a father, and the last thing I wanted was to go home and tell them cats that I was getting beat up. And I came home, and I mean, I went back in the street and I dealt with it. And it's the same thing, same kind of concept for our community. It's like when I watch these things, like I listen to the radio and I listen to, it's like, what other community allows this kind of stuff to go down? It's like you looking at these Jewish people in Israel. These are the same people that stole land that somebody else was on. Yeah, I know y'all don't like to hear people say that, but the reality is the Palestinians was there. Okay, your Bible says that they get to have that land, but real talk, these people was there, and you punked them for their land. You know what I'm saying? Because you had the military backing of the United States and other countries. You punked them for their land, and now because of how y'all was treated, y'all think that it's okay to do the same thing to people who were disrespected by the same people who you smiling in their face? Like, really? This is absolutely blasphemy to me. Like, this is so crazy, and it speaks to how people have no idea of what their position in the world is. No idea at all. Our country, I heard another talk show host say this. I'm going to come to you in a minute, Diva. I heard another talk show host say this, and I was unsure of it. And then I went and I researched it, and I found that this was correct. The United States of America, we give $3 billion a year. And every single year, that number goes up. But $3 billion in 2014 went from the United States government to the government of Israel just because. It's a Christmas gift. Here you go. Here's your $3 billion. What you gonna do with it?
Unaccounted for.
Unaccounted for.
That it's unaccounted for.
Unaccounted for. What you gonna do with it? It don't matter. It's a Christmas gift. When you gave somebody $100 for Christmas last year, did you ask them what they're gonna do with it? No. You just gave it to them. That's exactly what we do. And these people gonna smile and laugh in the face of people who built this country. That's some craziness right there to me. Diva, jump in here before I break this mic with my energy right now.
Well, my thoughts go back to what K-Dub said earlier. You know, we're so divided. We have the groups of people who are on the same side with the enemy. They, you know, shucking and jiving and doing what they like to see. And then you have those that may be angry and upset but don't really know what to do. You got those that want to be, you know, professional and appear to be, you know, doing the right thing. So how do we all come together and be on the same page? You know what I'm saying? I understand what you're saying, K-Dub, that we need to stand up as black people, but how do we get everyone together to be on the exact same page? Especially with no leadership.
And that's a question that really, to tell you the truth, that's a question that doesn't have an answer, because we as black people are so divided. I mean, in regards to how we think, in regards to, you know, what we look at as how could I say it? What we look at as far as bad and good, we're just so all over the place. Whereas, like, I'll give you an example. Where I live at, it's predominantly a lot of Mexican and Asian people. And if you could see the way that the Asian community basically is so self-contained, and just to sit back and look at that and think to yourself, wow, could black people have that? And to be totally honest with you, me personally, I know for a fact that we could not, because I really can't even find the word. We're just so all over the place. You know, we don't have that sense of history. We don't have that sense of self-pride. We don't have that sense of, you know, community for ourselves. It seems as though that, I would say, after the 60s, when after the civil rights movement was going on, I believe that we as black people did the wrong thing and started to, instead of it being a we type of situation, it turned into a lot of the me situation. And I'm going to say something that and it's a little bit off topic, that I know a lot of people are not going to agree with, but I think that it was our own fault when we wanted to be included with what was going on as far as help me out, Mark. You know, you and I have had that conversation.
Yeah, when we decided that we were going to assimilate because of how we were treated as slaves when we were brought to this country, and then the Reconstruction and all of those years, you know, the whole thing was, we are not 3/4 of a man. We are a full man, and we want to be treated like how y'all treat each other. And so while those things had a positive impact with regards to how we got the voting rights and certain things, it had a negative impact because we tried so hard to assimilate into their world that we lost who we were in our world. And that's not to say that is a bad thing to assimilate. But you cannot assimilate while at the same time losing who you are. You cannot clean your neighbor's house, and your house a damn mess. I'm going to get a couple of comments in social media, and then I want Bless to jump in, and we're going to change the subject and do
I'm sorry, integration was the word I was looking for. I think integration was one of the worst things that happened to us.
SY is saying, SY is jumping in. She says they're not afraid, really, because we are talking fist fight. We are talking being black and having your voice heard and the right to speak your mind. And yes, you are afraid because you address the issues that may offend you to another black. Speak louder, talk to offended you, and speak loud. No whispering, no tongue biting. I can dig it. She's agreeing with K-Dub. Blatant disrespect. No one gives us rat's ass about black man's feelings. Let us give it back. I can dig that. Then she's telling me to chill out and simmer down because I was wilding out a minute ago. And then she says, Diva, just do it. The people will come together. Everyone will not have the strength or guts to. However, it starts. She believes it will grow. This is SY, co-host of Ain't No Hashtag with Marcus J. She is not in the building, but she is in the building. Bless, jump in.
Although I understand where SY is coming from, and on a positive note, that would be great. But every time someone has stepped forward to try to bring black people together, they have been shot down by the people that are in control, so AKA the white people. So it's kind of like, what if we do take that step? I can understand the fear. Look at Native Americans. They tried to fight back to take back their whole country, and look at them. They're dwindling away. Look at us now. We are more and more becoming we are decreasing as a people. We are mixing, we are all of that, and we're losing more and more of what little bit of heritage that we have left. So what do we do?
Right, because if we fighting and doing all of that, then we appear to be angry, throw them in jail. And that's not going to help the situation.
Or kill us if you live in Florida.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Now they have an excuse to kill us because we done retaliated.
So I mean,
what we can do probably is more on the I would say more on a financial level, but it takes years for what I have in mind to happen. Let's recreate Black Wall Street. Let's recreate the communities that they had in Durham, North Carolina. Let's recreate the community that they had down here off of Auburn Avenue in Atlanta. If we start focusing on money and start buying for ourselves, I think that it could start with the change. Again, I hate to go back to this, but you have Asian people. Let's back up, Marcus, and you know this. We could look at any urban area in the nation, right? And I guarantee if you go down the main strip of that urban area, you have a store that's owned by Indian, store that's owned by Asian individual. But yet, if you go into these Asian or Indian areas, you don't see no other nationality in their areas but them. Yep. And if we could recreate that, that would start to change a number of things as far as containing our own money. And then at that particular point, for our more conscious individuals, we can start to make sure that the history and the pride and things like that are instilled in our youth so that, they're not, first time they get paid or whatever like that, and they're going downtown to go spend their money in the mall, they're going on Auburn Avenue to go get a haircut, spend their money on at a particular store that's owned by someone that looks like them. I mean, and again, I say that particular framework, it's going to take years, but it takes a mindset, or it takes at least a group of people to at least start it.
You stole a little bit of my thunder, and I'm gonna just say this, and then I'm gonna go ahead and take a break because we're gonna move on from here. But the truth of the matter is, all of it comes from money, and I agree when you say that all of our leaders before who tried to stand up and fight were shot down and murdered. That is very true, and it's understandable, and I understand the fear. But the truth of the matter is, we got more black millionaires right now than at any time in history, and we have also shown that the way that you change, the way that you make changes in this country, is through money. When we did the bus boycott, these people got crazy and they decided to make change, right? When Abraham Lincoln figured out that the way to win the war was to free the slaves because the slaves no longer were able to work the fields for the white people in the South, and they had to do it themselves, and they had to spend money to pay people. It was about money. It's always about money. It's always about money. And the problem is us black folk, we haven't figured that out yet. Every other community has figured it out, which is the reason why we laugh and we joke when we see a bunch of Latinos in one little ass car going to work.
Right,
but they going to work. And if you see the Indians, where every single person in that one store is Indian, you don't see nobody that don't look like them in that store. If you go into the hair store, sisters, and you see the Asian, whether it's Korean or Chinese or whatever it is, every single community have looked at our model of struggle, and then they took it to the next level, and they kept the model of struggle while at the same time sticking together and putting your money together. We don't do it. They do it, which is the reason why they are, and we not. They ain't no have Steppin markets yet. We're going to move on from that. We're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to lighten it up. We're going to ask some random questions. It's the first time that I've got Blessed, the dating pool diva, and my brother K-Dub on the line while we ask these random questions. It's going to be light, y'all. We're going to make y'all laugh tonight. Marcus J, K-Dub, dating pool diva, and my sister Blessed. And how Steppin Marcus J live from the dance. Stay with us. Be back in a minute.